Hello and welcome. This is Jason Nomadic Pagan. Welcome to week 6 of the Dedicant path through the Wheel of the Year. Let's just jump right into it. Hope everyone had a good week. So let's get to going. Week 6, first book started. IE studies. Indo-European is IE. Related requirement 3, book reviews. Required reading, Our Own Druidry, page 17 and 18, concerning the reading of books. Our Own Druidry, appendix B, writing a book review. Start on one book from the list of IE titles at the ADF website. Recommended reading list. Let's jump to that reading list. Here's the Dedicant path reading list. We got Lost Gods of England, The Real Middle Earth, Ancient Fire, Introduction to Gaulish Celtic Polytheism, Brief History of the Druids. Come on, Jason, speak here. Celtic Heritage, Ancient Tradition in Ireland, Wales, Pagan Celtic Britain, the Celtic Heroic Age. This is a long book. Okay, let's read through this. Pick one that radiates with you for now. There's a few of them. Let's start. One of the reasons many people come to ADF is because they are looking for a religion or organization that is interested in both piety and study. Because this is a rare combination in a neo-pagan community, we are very proud to offer such things. We do expect our Dedicants to be well versed in the basic scholarship behind ADF, the modern neo-pagan movement, and the historic roots of neo-paganism in general. To this end, 3 book reviews are asked of all Dedicants. One Indo-European study, because ADF is an Indo-European based organization. One general neo-pagan movement book, because we are neo-pagan. And one book on one of the Indo-European hearth cultures. Generally the hearth culture that the Dedicant will choose to work with. We will work on the Indo-European title first in order to give you a broad exposure to all the potential hearth cultures ADF generally works in. The main idea is that if you are currently undecided about a hearth culture, this might help point you in the right direction. If you have decided on a hearth culture, then this will help you understand the similarities, and differences between your hearth culture and others in the IE family. As we do not expect you to finish the book you choose in 1 week, we will give you questions to think about now, and will remind you occasionally throughout the coming weeks to continue reading. The book review for this title will be due on week 25. Remember to start all book reviews with the biological information such as the MLA citation. And I believe I showed you on the first or second video on how to do that. So just go back to that for reference. What is the book about? Is there a main thesis? Can you summarize the main points? Why was this book on the reading list? Do you think it should be there? Does it inform your own personal practice? Does it inform your own personal practice in any way? Does it give you new ideas, crazy thoughts, or open your mind? Could you recommend this book to others? Do you have trouble understanding it, or is it a breeze? Are there things that would make it better? Those are general questions you can ask yourself while you're writing what the heck you're going to write about. Or the outline. Making an outline or notes as you read will be invaluable to writing your book review. Keep these questions in mind as you read through the book, and let your mentor know what you're reading, so he or she can help answer any questions you might have. And if you don't have a mentor, then there's a form on the website you can fill out to email the person for it. But, if you want me as a mentor, check my Discord out. I'm always around. I help you out. Also, continue visiting the spot that helps keep you connected to nature. You might make notes in your Dedicant notebook about what you see, or if there's any animals that appear often, or plants that strike you as intriguing or odd. Alright, so let's go recommended reading concerning the reading of books. The ancient Druids made themselves repositories of knowledge, as well as seekers of wisdom. We hear of their 20 years of learning, taught by word of mouth, without written support for much of the work. In our time, we cannot spend the afternoon beneath the oaks listening to the teachers. Instead, we must read books. Books are the voices of wisdom, though we must choose them wisely. The work of study is a spiritual work in the path of wisdom, and we hope you will make the acquisition of knowledge about the old ways a sort of a spiritual duty. It is a good to develop the habit of reading diligently, one book followed by another. That habit will keep you learning and growing through your whole life. It should be no more be neglected than your meditations. You're doing your meditations, right? Uh-huh. We offer 2 book lists in Appendix A. The first consists of popular introductions and instructions. Books likely to be found in pagan bookstores and occult sections of major booksellers. They are not scholars' studies, but will give basic and reliable material. The second is the official Dedicant reading list. It contains core mythic and lore material for several ethnic paganisms and good summaries of history and background. Those who choose to do the formal documentation for the Dedicant path must read 3 books from that list. For complete requirements, see that appendix I just shortly read over for you in the Dedicant manual. Let's see, I think it's 143 page, if I remember correctly, for the next one. Writing a book review. Because we've been frequently asked, we give these guidelines. This is the appendix one. Book reviews may be typed or handwritten, but the 1 to 2 page requirement refers specifically to pretty standard format. Typewritten, double space, 1-inch margins using a size 12 point like Times New Roman. That works out to roughly 325 to 350 page words per page. Be sure your name appears in the top right hand corner of each page, and as a heading include whether this is an Indo-European study, the ethnic study, or modern pagan study. Then biological information. None of that including your word count, by the way, so you can't pad it with that, sadly. Explain who or what the book is about. I'm just going to briefly summarize this. Explain the significance of the book, explain the significance of the book to you, and explain why or why not you would recommend this book to others. Although it should probably go without saying, ADF will not tolerate any form of paganism, rather intentional or inadvertent. When writing a book review, it is a good idea to set the book aside entirely. Jot down or type your thoughts and ideas, and only when you have your notes or preliminary drafts completed, refer back to the book for specific details or quotes, or you'd be chasing paragraphs. And that'd be copying. As with any academic writing, direct quotes must be clearly marked as such with footnotes, or or references to the page from which they were taken. Let's look at mine here. Dedicant. Dedicantpath.soulstudioscreations.com is the website for my Dedicant path. Book reviews. I did 3. I did a history of pagan Europe, drawing down the moon and gods and myths of northern Europe. So the history of pagan Europe I recommend to be your first book. It will teach you history and lore and everything they've done to our ancestors to convert them to pagan Christianity. I won't be reading this, but you can go to my website and read it. Actually, it's not that long, is it? I'll read it. There's a title, a name, the author, that's your biological. I choose the book of Pagan Europe because it looked like it would cover all the cultures of Pagan Europe, and I was not disappointed. Prudence and Pinnock covered the history of all the known European pagan religions, going back all the way back. Okay. Make sure you proofread your stuff to when we first had written record. Prudence and Pinnock use extensive sources in writing this book, from current scholars of religious history to the Library of Cambridge University Library, and they cite all references at the back of the book. It will be an outstanding reference book to me in the future. I haven't picked it up since. Prudence and Pinnock separated the book into chapters. Each chapter covered each culture, starting with the gods and goddesses they were worshipped, what their shrines looked like, and what sacrifices were common in those periods. A history of pagan Europe also goes into detail how each culture would celebrate each religious holiday, meaning the cultures had a feast and games in common. The book has quite a lot of pictures in it. Each picture varied from statues representing the gods and goddesses and many examples of artwork from the era. Each picture had a description of what they were and where they came from, which was quite neat to see what they had during those periods. It is fascinating how even to this day, many of the holidays Christians celebrate today still have pagan roots, and we still base even our calendar on the Romans' customs. Throughout the book, Christianity is a religion that was prevalent. I saw it as the religion that was forced onto the masses, where eventually an event would happen, either a deal with another city to increase its military powers or political. Ultimately, but not always, the culture went back to their pagan roots. This happened in almost every culture. Many pagans died from their beliefs, and it seems after a while they just gave up and practiced dual religion, not fighting Christianity any longer. Yet many became martyrs for their beliefs. They often enforced Christianity in a city, killing thousands of non-believers of Christianity for not giving up their religion for the modern one. The greatest strength in the book is how it explains the timeline of events, how each culture expanded its religion throughout the ages, and how each culture overcame and succumbed to the other religions integrating with them. I also enjoyed how each chapter has stories engaging the reader in the history of pagan Europe. As this is my first primer book on Indo-European religion, I felt quite a lot. I learned quite a lot, and I have no negative connotations to add to what they have written. I feel the book will come in handy for future reference. So that was mine, which you can see what you can get away with. Anyway. So that was week 6. So get out there and start trying to find a book to read. You can source your things from the library, which I wouldn't recommend because it might take you a while to read it. You can go to Amazon, eBay. You know what I did though? Most of these, I'm a truck driver, of course. That's why I'm called Nomadic Pagan, because I'm always traveling. So most of my books came from audiobooks or PDF readers that will read the text to you from PDF to audio. So that's how I did most of my books. So if you want to do that, you can check that out as well. All right, we'll catch you next week.